Hello friends, welcome to this video. This is Rohit. In today's video we will try to understand topic templates in C++. Okay, so let's start. So a significant advantage of C++ code is reusability. Okay, so C++ supports the concept of reusability, okay, which eliminates the redundant code. Okay, so regarding this we have already know the feature called inheritance. Okay, which supports the concept of reusability. Okay, so you will have a base class with certain properties and methods which will be inherited by another class. So the properties and methods of base class will be available within that derived class, okay, or newly created class, so which supports the elimination of redundant code. So an important feature of C++ known as templates, okay, which also supports the concept of reusability. Templates also supports the concept of reusability. Okay, so it provides flexibility to programmer, provides flexibility to programmer. Okay, in terms of efficient software development process, in terms of efficient software development process. Okay, so templates in C++ provides or it supports the concept of reusability, so the code can be reused again and again, okay, due to which the redundant code will get avoided and performance of software will get improved. So it provides flexibility to the programmer in terms of efficient software development process. Okay, so before discussing the topic templates in detail, first of all we will try to understand important concept, okay, which is called specific programming and generic programming. Okay, because while discussing templates, so many times I'm going to speak about generic classes, generic functions, generic programming. So you should know that what is generic programming and opposite to that, contrast to that, specific programming. If you understood this, you will understand templates in very effective manner and you will be able to use them as well in effective manner and efficient manner. Okay, so first of all we will try to talk about what is specific programming. Okay, till now whatever program we have discussed, whatever program we understood, all that programs comes under the category of specific programming. Okay, so what is specific programming? Okay, so the specific programming in which user already know the data type of input. Okay, here user already know the data type of the input on which he is going to work, he is going to process. Okay, so in such case it is called specific programming, where we know the data type already which we are going to process. Okay, so the programs where user already know the input data type, it's called specific programming. What is definition now? So the programs where user already know the input data type It's called specific programming. For example, if I give you statement for writing one program, like write a program for adding two integer variables or two integer numbers. Now look at this statement carefully. What statement we are giving? Write a program for adding two integer numbers. So here clearly the statement is saying we have to write a program for adding two integer numbers. Okay, so specific data type we have mentioned within the program title. So whenever we will develop program for adding two number, it will be called specific program, which will work with specific data type only, that is integer. So such kind of programming is called specific programming. Now what will be the disadvantage here? What will be the downside of this specific programming? So whatever program you will write, it will work only with integer data type, integer input only. If you want to add float number, then what? Then you need to write another program which will be able to add two float number, two fractional number. Means this program will work only with integer input. It will fail to work on float input, float data type. Okay, so for example, I will show you one program regarding this. So write a program for addition of two integers. So see this. This program is example of specific programming. How? See here. In main function I am calling one add function. Okay, here it is definition of add function. So this add function can add two variable x and y of type int. Okay, so this add function will operate on only integer type, integer input. Okay, means this program can add only two integer variables together, like 3 and 7. These are two integer variable. So this program can add only two integer type of variable, two input data which having type integer, but it will fail to operate on any other data type like float, character, etc. So if you want to add two float number, you need to write new program. Okay, if you want to add two character, you need to write new program. This program can work only on integer type of data. Okay, so that is what the specific programming, where specifically we have mentioned the input data type on which program will work. Okay, now exactly opposite to specific programming, we have the concept of generic programming. Now what is meaning here generic? So generic means which is not specific. So the thing which is not specific, it is called generic. So in generic programming, okay, the user do not know. The user do not know the data type of the input. Okay, so while writing program in generic programming, user do not know the data type of input. So he will write a generic function, a generic program which will work with different data types. So a generic program will have ability to operate on different data types. So I will write such a program which will be able to work with different data type at the same time. Okay, so for example, if I give you statement, write a program for adding two numbers. Now look at this statement. This is a generic statement. Why it is generic statement? Because I am not specifying what kind of two numbers I want to add, whether they are float, whether they are double, whether they are integer, I don't know. I have just specified that I want to add two number. Okay, this is a generic statement which is not specific. Now in context of what? In context of data type. What kind of number I want to add, I have not specified within these statements. That's why it is called a generic statement. Now look at this statement which is specific. Write a program for adding two integer numbers. So here we have specified the data type. Okay. But here we have not specified the data type, the input data type on which this program will operate. So whatever program we will write here for adding two number, this program will be able to work with integer, it will be able to work with float, double, etc. Okay, because we will try to develop a generic program, okay, a generalized program which will have ability to operate on all these data type at the same time. So whatever program I will develop here, I can add two integer number with that, I can add two float number with that, I can add two double number with that, no problem, without writing new program. What is advantage here of generic programming? Here you will develop a single program only, okay, which will be having ability to operate on different kinds of data at the same time. Okay, so the process where generalized program is developed, where any kind of input can be used, which is called a generic programming. Okay, so a generic program can work on any type of input. That is, user need not bother about input data type while writing the code. Okay, so you can add various kinds of data types, okay, numbers of various kinds of data types with the same program. Okay, so you don't have to bother about what will be the input data type while writing the code. Okay, so the feature template is available in the C++, okay, which supports the concept of generic programming. Okay, understand how we are implementing generic programming in C++. Generic programming in C++ is achieved with the concept of templates. Okay, templates are the important tool in C++, important concept in C++, which allow us to implement the concept of generic programming in C++. Okay, so what will you will do in generic programming? So you will write single program. Okay, what concept is? You will write single program, or you will write single function. Okay, so this single function will be called as a generic function. Generic function, or you will say generic class. Okay, what will be advantage with this generic function or generic class? So you will be able to work with different data types at the same time with the same function or same class. That's why we are saying them as a generic function or generic class. They are independent of the data type. They are independent of the data type. Okay, there is no restriction of a data type in generic function or generic class. You are free to pass any kind of data type as an input, and they will be operate on it successfully. Okay, so repetition of code, redundancy of code will be reduced. See here. Okay, so in C++, the important concept we are trying to achieve, that is reusability of code. So where redundant code will get reduced. So inheritance you know already. Another concept which supports this reusability is templates. And how they are supporting? So they are supporting through the concept called generic programming. So in generic programming, we will use concept templates. Okay, so we will create a template of function or a class, and these templates will be independent of your data type. So this template will be free to operate on different data types without any problem. Okay, so this is how generic programming is basically achieved in the C++ with help of templates. Okay, now we will try to understand what templates are. Okay, so templates in C++. Okay, what these templates are. Now we know where we have to use templates, why we need templates. We need templates for implementing the concept of generic programming in C++. Okay, but what templates are? Okay, so templates allow us to create a generalized function or a class. Okay, so templates allow us to create what? First thing, generalize function, and second thing, they allow us to create generalized class. What do you mean by generalized function and generalized class? Exactly opposite to specific function and specific class. So this generalized function will be able to work with any kind of data type. There will be no restriction. Okay, so you can pass integer data to generalized function, you can pass float data to generalized function, you can pass character data to generalized function, etc. So any kind of data you can pass to this generalized function. Okay, and second thing, you have generalized class. So in generalized class you can have any kind of data member. Okay, you may have integer kind of data member, you may have float kind of data member, you may have double kind of data member or functions, etc. So here as well, any kind of data members or functions, or you will say methods. Okay, so such kind of class is called generalized class. Okay, so basically template allow you to create generalized function and generalized class. So generalized function is also called generic functions, and the generalized class is also called generic class. Okay, generic means not a specific. So they are free to operate on any kind of data type. Okay, so they can perform operation on any kind of input. That's why we are calling them as a generic function and generic class. So both of these having ability to operate on any kind of input, and that is what we want. Okay, so we will be able to work with different kinds of data types with the same function, with the same class. Okay, means we are achieving the generic programming here. Okay, so templates use generic data type which can handle variety of data types. Okay, so in templates we are using generic data type. Okay, and this generic data type will be able to work with variety of data types during execution. Okay, so this is the simplest and most powerful concept in C++. Okay, so templates are very easy to use, very easy to create, but still they are most powerful concept in the C++. Why they are most powerful? Because they support the concept of generic programming, due to which a single piece of code will be able to operate on different data types without any problem. That's why they are the simplest and most powerful concept in the C++. So what is the exactly idea behind templates? Idea behind templates. So in templates, the idea is to pass the data type as a parameter. Here, data type will be passed as a parameter. Okay, understand, data type will be passed as a parameter. So we don't have to write same code for different data types. So what will be advantage here of passing data type as a parameter? So we don't have to write code for different data types. Okay, so that is what the idea behind templates, where we will pass data type as a parameter. So code repetition for different data types will get avoided, will get prevented. Okay, so for example, okay, so there is a certain software project which needs, suppose, mean function. Okay, so mean function will be used for finding minimum value. Okay, so which minimum value we have to find, it is not specified. Okay, means it is a generic function. Okay, so this mean function will be able to find different kinds of minimum value, integer value, float value, double value, etc. Okay, so same function we have which will be able to operate on different data types. So what will be advantage we will achieve? Code reusability. Okay, redundant code will get reduced. Okay, so if you don't write generic function here, so you have to write the various prototypes of mean function. Okay, one for finding minimum value of integer, one for finding minimum value of float, one for finding minimum value of double, one for finding minimum value of character, etc. Okay, so here what is advantage? A single function which will be able to find out minimum value of different types, different data types, different inputs. Okay, without any problem. Okay, so that is what the advantage here. Okay, now we know what templates are. Okay, now let's try to understand the types of templates. So we have two types of templates. Okay, so first type is called function templates, and second one is called class template. Okay, there are two types of templates. First one is called function template, second one is called class template. Already while discussing this introduction of templates, I mentioned that templates allow us to create what? A generalized function and a generalized class. Okay, so same thing, template, we have two types of templates: function template, class template. So what will be thing regarding function template? Okay, what are function templates? So function templates are also called generic function. Already in the intro we discussed. Okay, so generic function. Now you know what is generic function. Okay, what is generic function? So generic function having ability to deal with any kind of data type. There will be no restriction. In the same way, generic function can work with different types of data types without any issue. Okay, so we will write a single function. As I told, we will write, for example, mean function here. Mean function. So this mean function can work with different data types: integer, float, double, character, etc. Okay, which will be used for finding minimum value. So this mean function will be called a generic function, and it is basically a function template. So this template can reuse again and again. once you design the template, okay, it can be reused again and again. And if you create a function template, so that can reuse again and again for different data types. That's why we are saying a generic function can work with different types of data types, different types of input. Okay, so a generic function defines set of operations that will be applied to various types of data. Okay, so here in this generic function we will define set of operations in the function body which will be operate on various data types. Okay, so generic function has the type of data that it will operate upon when we will pass parameter to it. We know functions can accept parameter. Okay, so whatever parameter you will pass, a generic function will operate on that data type. Okay, so generic function can accept any type of input provided by user. So any type of input provided by user on which generic function can operate. Okay, so now we know what is generic function. Okay, we know what is function template. Now let's try to see how to create this function template. So let's try to see syntax of function template. So syntax is like this: template class T. Okay, so this is generic argument, generic data type here. Okay, this is single generic argument to function. Okay, it is a single generic argument to function. What is generic argument? Class T. Class is a keyword here. Okay, so here we can also use a type name instead of class. Okay, there are two keywords. One is type name, or instead of type name you can use class as well. Okay, so this is first statement, template in angle bracket class T. So we have single generic argument here called T. Okay, on next line we will write the function as usual. So I will have return type of a function, then followed by function name. Okay, then I may have arguments of T type. So T argument 1, T argument 2. Likewise I have T argument n. Okay, I have n kinds of arguments here of type T. And what is T? T is a generic argument. Generic means what? It is not specified whether it is integer, float, or character, or double, whatever. It will be decided at the runtime. If you pass float, the T will represent float. If you pass integer, T will represent integer. So if T is representing integer, then argument 1 will also integer, argument 2 will also integer, and so on. And here I will have body of my function. Okay, this is what the syntax for creating function templates. Okay, this syntax you already know. Okay, what new thing we have added here? Template. Now as we are creating template functions, so we have keyword template, and here we are specifying the generic data type in the angle brackets. Okay, so class is a keyword, so you can use class or type name. Okay, both will give you same result. Okay, so we have used here class followed by the generic argument. What is name of generic argument? T. You can assume any name. Okay, so as we are dealing with templates, we are using T here. Okay, followed by return type of a function. What kind of value function is going to return? That return type we will specify, followed by function name. Okay, for this code of block, one unique name we have to create, that is what the function name. then this function can accept arguments. So we will specify the list of arguments here separated by comma, and all these arguments will be of type what? So they all will be of type T. Okay, so this is how we will create a function template. Okay, and this syntax is similar to your normal function. Okay, this syntax is similar to your normal function. So only the difference is what? The difference is we are creating here a generic function with templates. Okay, and this templates is accepting a generic type of argument. Okay, so the exact input type is not known, okay, till function is called. Okay, so whenever you will call a function, then it will know what kind of data with which it want to deal. Okay, so when a user calls a generic function by providing exact type of input, then system will replace this generic function with the specific data type. Okay, so if you have called this function for integer, then this definition will be replaced with a integer definition. If you call this function for a float data type, this definition will be replaced for a float data type. Okay, so copy of function will be created at the time of execution, okay, as per the data type we have provided. Okay, so this is how we can create function templates in C++. Okay, so let's try to see one example how to create this function templates and how to use this function templates. Okay, so we will try to create one program, okay, generic program for swapping two numbers. So we will create one generic program for swapping two numbers. Okay, so we will create one swap function which will be generic function, and we know how to create generic function, so we will use function templates in this program. What we will use? Function templates. Okay, so we will create the function template for this swap function. So this swap function will be able to work with different data types. Okay, so let's try to create first of all template here. So I will write function template for swap. Okay, now we know how to create function template. Okay, template followed by class T and followed by the exact definition like this. Okay, for a function. So here we will create template, okay, keyword template followed by class and the generic argument T. Okay, now followed by the definition for swap function. So what I will write here, suppose void will be return type because this function is not going to return any kind of value. Swap. Now here we will pass two arguments x and y. Okay, of type what? Of type T. So how to write? So I will write T x and T y. Okay, what usually we write while passing argument? We write here data type actually. Suppose if I write int x and int y, so this function will be able to work with only integer data. But I am developing a generic program, a generic function. So I have to specify a generic data type here, T. Okay, which we have mentioned here while creating or while specifying template. So T is what? T is a generic type of argument. T is generic argument. So this T can represent any kind of data. So it is in short placeholder for different data type. So if you pass integer data to this swap function, this T will represent integer. If you pass float data, this t will represent float. Okay, so depend on what kind of data you are passing, this t will get changed. And inside this we will create one temp variable of type t, and then we will write our normal logic of swapping two number. So temp is equal to x, x is equal to y, and again I will store this temp value into y by writing y is equal to temp, and we will print the value here itself. So I will write cout x, some space we will create here, and then I will write and l. I will copy this line for printing value of y. Simply I will replace this x with y. So this line will print x value after swapping, this line will print y value after swapping. Okay, and our swap function is ready. Okay, now here what I have done, I have created a function template here, a generic function swap. Okay, so this swap will be able to work with different kinds of data. Okay, now let's try to test it. Now in main function, now I am going to create different types of variables, and we will try to swap them with this generic function swap. So first of all, integer, let's say n1, n2, number 1, number 2. Then I will create two float variables, f1, f2. Then I will create two character variables, c1, c2. Okay, now instead of taking input, we will assign them some values. So 10, 20. Okay, then for float I will say 23.10 or 12, and for this I will say 10.51, and for character let's say A, and for this C2 we will say B. Okay, so we have initialized these variables with some random values. Now let's try to call swap function. So first of all, swap, and here we will pass integer value. Okay, so here I will write int. Okay, now I will copy this, and I will, on next line I will write swap. Okay, here I will pass float f1, f2. Okay, again I will paste it, and here now I will pass character c1, c2. Now one thing you can observe, I am calling same function here, but the data type which I am passing is different: integer, float, character. Okay, so this swap function is a template function, okay, which contains generic data type here. T is a generic argument, generic data type. Okay, so when this first function will call, okay, in which we are passing integer parameters, so it will create copy of this swap function which will accept integer parameter, and it will perform this swap operation on integer parameter. What I mean here, for example, how it will create copy, integer copy. So this t will get replaced with int here. At the time of compilation, this is integer copy. Internally this copy will be created. Okay, your source file consists only one copy of swap, which is a generic copy, generic function. But at the time of compilation, Compiler will internally create this copy whenever it will come across swap n1 n2. N1 and n2 of which type? Integer. So while invoking this swap function for integer data type, it will create this kind of copy, and it will perform this operation, swap operation, and it will print the result here. In the same way, whenever you will invoke this swap function, it will create float copy for float data type, means it will replace this data type with float, actually like this. This copy will be internally available. Okay, it is not visible to user, it will be internally available within your source file whenever you will compile your code. Okay, so it will be internally created, and like this function templates work. Function template work. So for this, it will create integer copy which will handle swap operation on integer data. For this, it will create a function copy which will deal with float kind of data, means t will get replaced at runtime. So this t represent, already I told you, it is a generic argument. It will be able to represent any kind of data. So here t is representing integer, here t is representing float, and here t is representing character. Okay, so these copies of function are created internally, and thus these are the hidden from user. Okay, so we can see the same function, okay, same swap function which performs swapping of 3 different kinds of input data type. So we are using it for swapping integer, we are using it for swapping float, and also we are using it for swapping character data type. Okay, so let's try to run this program and see what happens. So I will press Ctrl B to build this program. Building is started here, you can see. If there is any error, we will see it in this terminal. Okay, one error we are getting here. Okay, so I got the error. Error is like I have renamed the swap function here. So I made it swap1. Okay, so here as well I have made it swap1, and here as well I have made it swap1. Everywhere I have renamed this function. Okay, now let's try to build this code and see what happens. So again I will try to build it. I will press Ctrl B. Building is started here. See here, we got the output. Okay, so for understanding it in better way, I will try to separate this with certain dash. Okay, so we will able to understand the output, okay, with proper separation. Okay, now in the first call, understand, we have called this swap1 function for integer data type. Okay, what was our value? N1 was 10 and N2 was 20. Now here after swapping, see the result, x becomes 20, means N1 become 20 and N2 become 10. This is result after swapping. Okay, because we are using call by value here. So this N1 will be copied to X and this N2 will be copied to Y. Okay, so we got result 2010. Now after that, next was floating. So F1 was 23.12 and F2 was 10.51. So after swapping we have result 10.51 and 23.12. Okay, so these two float numbers got swap. Okay, and at last we tried to invoke this swap function for swapping character data. So C1 was with value A and C2 was with value B. Okay, so after swapping we got result BA, you can see here. If I put here NDL ANDL, and if I build, then output will be more proper. You can see here 2010. Okay, then these float values and then these characters. Okay, so in this code what we have done, we have developed one generic swapping function. So this swapping function is able to operate on integer data, float data, character data. Okay, and how we have done it? So we have done it with help of templates. Okay, so we have developed a generic swap function. Okay, so which will be able to operate on different types of data types. Okay, so this is how function templates are available in the C++, okay, which allow us to implement the concept of generic programming. Okay, so same code will be able to operate on different types of data. Okay, one more concept is there in this function template, like a function template can have more than one generic data type. Okay, so here we have seen there is only one generic data type T. You may have more than one generic data type here. Okay, so your function will be able to work on different types of data types. So here, for example, whatever example we have discussed, so here both x and y will be of type T. But if you want to swap, like one is integer and one is float, then what? Then here you need to specify one more generic type. So you will be able to work with pairs of data type, like one will be integer, one will be float, one will be character, one will be double, like this. Okay, so for example, I will try to modify this code and I will try to create one function for adding different types of data types. So for example, I will change this. Okay, and I will write one new code here. Okay, which will be which will be for implementing generic function with multiple generic types. Generic function with multiple generic data types. Okay, so we will try to create one add function. Okay, so let's try to create it. So again, I will follow same syntax, template, class. Now here I will have two generic types. So one will be class T1 and another one will be class T2. Okay, this will represent different data type, this will represent different data type. Then I will write add function here. So here I will take first argument of T1 type and second argument of T2 type. Okay, and I will take one variable of type T, of type T1. So T1, let's say result. Okay, for holding the result of operation, and result is equal to, let's say, x plus y. And here I will print the result. The result is, okay, result, and I will put /n here, or I will put ANDL for breaking the line. Okay, this is how we have created one add function. Now this is a generic function with multiple generic data type. T1 is a first generic data type for add function, and T2 will be second generic data type for add function. Okay, so x will be of T1 and y will be of T2. Okay, now in main function, so let's create some variable. So n1 will be of integer type with value, let's say 10. Okay, then we will create one more variable float n2 with value, let's say 23.12, any random value I will take, and one more I will take char and c1 with value, let's say a character. Okay, now we will try to call add function. Okay, now how I will call add function here. So add, and I will pass two arguments to it. Add, let's say n1 comma n2. Okay, and I will try to build this program. I will press Ctrl B. Here you can see the result is 33. Okay, so n1 was integer, n2 was float. So at the runtime, what happened? So the compiler already had the copy for adding two different kinds of data types here. So t1 will represent integer here in this call, and this t2 will represent float in this call, because n1 is of type integer and n2 is of type float. Okay, so here compiler already created the copy of this function for this call. Okay, how that copy is created? So it is created like this: t1 is integer and t2 is float here. Okay, and result will be of type t1. T1 is integer. That's why we are getting 33, not point something, because result is of type integer. Okay, so this is how we have created a generic add function with generic multiple arguments. So t1 is a generic argument, t2 is a generic argument that we have defined here while creating a template here. Okay, so this is how we can create a function with multiple generic arguments. Okay, now second concept. Okay, we told in the discussion, second concept means second type of template, that is called class template. Now what is class template? So class template is also called as generic class. What it is called as? Generic class. Now why it is generic class? Because this class will be able to work with different data types. Okay, so like functions, classes can also be declared to operate on different data types. Okay, that's why they are called as a generic class, and such classes are called as a class templates. Okay, class templates. Now let's try to see syntax for class templates. Syntax for class templates. Okay, so syntax is like this. Again we have template keyword, template class t1. Now t1 is here generic data type, generic argument. Okay, then followed by class name, like normal syntax you have. Okay, now within this class you will be able to operate on this t1 generic data type. So what I can specify here, I can create data members of type t1 here. Okay, so here I can create like t1 some data, t1 some data. Okay, so like this you can create class variables here. Okay, properties of class, you will define of type T1 here. And what T1 is? T1 is a generic data type, and it is argument to your template, class template. Okay, so in case of class template, the association of exact data type to the generic type is provided during the object declaration. Okay, in case of function declaration, okay, in case of function template, it is concept of compile time, but in case of class, it is concept during execution. It is concept of mapping this generic data type to actual during execution or runtime, during runtime. Okay, so we will try to understand now one program to implement the concept of class template. Okay, now I will move to coding part here again, and I will try to remove all these things. Okay, now in this we will try to create one sample class. Okay, so class sample. Okay, now within this sample class we will try to create two variables, but before creating them we will define this class as a template class. So how to convert this class into template class? So simply I will write template keyword here, and I will write here class, let's say T. Now T is a generic argument. Okay, now within this class I will create variable of type T. So I will write here T n1 comma n2. Okay, these two variables I have created. Okay, now I will create one constructor here. Okay, and within this constructor I will initialize this two variable n1, or instead of creating it we will try to accept it from user. Okay, so it will be more better idea. So I will create one function here, public function. Okay, so let's say void get data, and within this function we will ask user to enter. So I will write cout enter n1. Here I will specify AND, and on next line I will accept it, I will read it using scene, so n1. Okay, so like this I will copy it and I will paste it here again. So here I will write enter n2, and here I will make it to n2. Okay, so this get data function will read our values for n1 and n2 one by one. Okay, now let's try to create one generic add function which will have return type as a T. Okay, and here one variable we will create, let's say sum of type T, which will hold the sum. So sum is equal to, we will try to add n1 plus n2. Okay, and this function will return the sum. So return, and it will be sum. Okay, so this generic function we have added here. Okay, so this add function will be able to operate on any kind of data type, whichever we want. Yes, and then we will use one display function here for displaying the result. Okay, in this simply we will print the values of n1 and n2. So I will write cout n1, I will write like this n1, and here I will print the value of n1 followed by AND. Okay, same way I will copy it and I will paste it on next line. Now this will print the value of n2, and here I will make it n2. Okay, now class is ready. Okay, now let's try to create object and call the add function. Okay, now how to create object of generic class template. So it will be like this. Syntax is like this: class name, here in angle brackets the data type of object, and followed by object name. What I want to say here, data type of object means, so what object consists? Object of specific class, object for specific class will consist the data members. Okay, so here whatever data members we have within this object, so for that data members we have to specify the data type here. So if I specify int here, for example, so what this object will consist? Object will consist n1 and n2. So they will be of integer type. So total memory for this object will be allocated 8 bytes here. 8 bytes here. So for memory allocation of this object during execution, we need to specify the data type here while specifying the object. If I specify character here, so how much memory the compiler will allocate for this object? It will allocate 2 bytes of memory. Why? Because each character requires single byte. Okay, so syntax is like this. So I will convert this syntax to actual statement. What is my class name here? Sample. Which kind of object I want to specify? Integer. And followed by object name. So let's say I will specify obj1. So now obj1 will consist 2 member variables, n1 and n2. Now here what kind of data type we are specifying? Integer. So n1 and n2 will be of type int. So how much total memory it will allocate? 8 bytes. Okay, and this object I will use for invoking the input function. So I will write obj1 dot, what our input function is there, get data, which is accepting input. So obj1 dot get data. Okay, now I will try to call this add function. Okay, now this add function is returning certain value, so I will need one variable here. So let's say int r1, and I will call that add function. So how I will invoke that add function? obj1 dot add. Okay, so add function will return certain result, and that result will be within this r1. So here we will print the result, cout, the sum is, let's say r1, and end l. Okay, so I will save this program. This program needs 2 number as an input, so I will pass them in this input f.in. So first number will be 12, second number will be 12, like this. Okay, and I will clear this. Okay, so we are passing 2 numbers as an input to this program. Now we will try to compile this program. Again I will press Ctrl B. Building is started here, you can see it is finished. Okay, now let's see the result. So enter n1, this statement is prompted, and then 12 is read into n1, then enter n2, again 12 is read into n2, and now you can see here the sum is 24. Okay, so here we have invoked the add function. So what happened? So here one obj of sample type is created, and we have specified the data type here explicitly. So n1 and n2 are treated as an integer here in this call. Okay, and we have invoked the sum function, add function. Okay, using the object of sample class. Okay, that's why we got result 24 here. Okay, in the same way you can define object2 of type float here. How I will define? So I will write sample float and obj2. Okay, and how I will call again add function for float value. So again I will take this and I will declare it as a float, and this will be r2 and this will be obj2, and again we will have same function. Okay, so like this you can call this add function for different types of data and you can print the result. So this is how we have created a generic class here. So this class having two members, n1 and n2 of generic type. So in first call we are treating them as an integer, in second call we are treating them as a float, in another call you may treat them as a double, as a character, any kind. Okay, so this is how we have created this generic class, okay, which will be able to operate on different kinds of data types. Okay, so this is what the concept of generic class we have, which having ability to operate on different kinds of data types. Okay, so actually this is the overall concept of function, template and class template. Okay, which specifies the concept or which promotes the concept of generic programming. Okay, generic programming which is not specific. Okay, so user do not know the data type of the input, okay, during until execution. Okay, so this is how we can achieve the concept of generic programming in C++ using the generic functions and generic classes. Okay, so both we have discussed in the detail with the theory, syntax as well as programs. Okay, so I hope this video of templates in C++ will be useful for all of you to understand the concept of templates. Okay, so friends, if you find this video useful, please like and share. I will see you in next video. Thank you for watching.